Okay, now that the arm is in place, you want to inspect this gap here and this gap here. If you shine a light through it or a flashlight into it, you want to make sure that O-ring is in place and hasn't extruded itself into the gap. Then it would obviously leak. So make sure that is sealed there and there's no signs of any O-ring extruding out from that gap. So next we start with reassembly. We can turn the camera sideways again and stand it up like that. We want to put the side screws in reverse order here, using a little bit of Loctite 243 on those screws. Just a little drop on the threads there, nothing extraordinary. Again, the 3mm driver. Now you don't want to tighten these screws just yet. You want to run them all the way in till they stop and then back off like a quarter of a turn. You just want to make sure everything's aligned before you tighten down everything. There was Loctite on these screws before, so they're a little bit harder to turn. Okay, so that's bottom, and I'm going to come back a little bit. Then we'll do the same for the top two screws here. A little bit of Loctite 243. And we'll drop that into that hole there. We'll do the second one at the same time here. A little bit of Loctite and drop it into the other hole next to the gear there. So we'll get our 2.5mm driver. Snug those up again. Okay, hit bottom. I back off a little bit until the other one's ready. Okay, I hit the bottom and I back off a little bit. So it's a little bit loose, not much. All right, then again, we want to check our motion. We'll be able to hear the gears engage a little bit. It makes a little bit of a purring sound. That we have full movement. We look in the gap again here to make sure there's no rubber to be seen. The O-ring in that little 0.5mm gap is not sticking out of and it looks like it's seated properly. Okay, so now we can go with the tightening process. I want to tighten the top two screws first. Just snug up one and the other. You can see by my hand I'm not putting a lot of pressure on there. All right, and that seats the O-ring that's in here. We want to tighten that first. And we can slowly just hand tighten enough. The Loctite will be enough to keep the screws snug. That's that. And then we go to the side screws again, hand tighten only. And I'm using a driver, so I'm not getting they're not very tight, but just tighten by hand. And then the Loctite will hold the rest in place. So that assembly is back together now and moving freely. Okay. Okay, so next we'll put the motor back in place. Get our motor from before. This goes in on a little bit of an angle. It came out on a little bit angle. If you remember, we had to wiggle a little bit. There's a little gob of grease on there that I had extra there before I just laid on top. So the motor goes in a little bit on this angle and it hits a few things there, but you just kind of have to wiggle it, and you might have to turn this gear a little bit. But this bearing right here fits into the hole right up in here. So oh, there it goes. It just pops in when everything's lined up. All right, and then this will stiffen up and the motor will be flush. And again, there's probably enough resistance just to stand it there like that. So we take our two motor screws and we're going to put a little bit of Loctite on those as well, using, like I said, Loctite 243. It's a medium strength thread locker. Little drop on there and a drop on there. Again, we don't never fully tighten one side over another. We bring that down to the bottom, screw it to till it holds, till the hit stops, and then back off a little bit. And same thing on the other side, and then we can go back and forth and torque those down. Again, it's hand tight. You can see I'm not using any extra tools or anything special here. The Loctite will hold the screws in place. All right. So this is back together. You can see that gear turn a little bit. You'll have a lot more resistance here now that you're slipping the clutch between the motor and the drive, like that. And now it's ready for reassembly.